afternoon, East Castle Place. Welcome to this edition of State of the Castle for February. Excited to share the information that's at hand. Hope everybody's doing well up there. I know that we're getting excited for March 3rd when we receive that second dose of the corona vaccine. So with that, I have a cast of characters that will be introducing themselves as well as the topics at hand. Thank you for those of you that submitted questions, and as always, if you have other questions or more questions after the viewing of this, you know where to find us. With that, we'll start with Lindsay Vigut, our administrator of the Health Center. Lindsay, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. So good afternoon, morning, or evening, whenever you're watching this. For the Health Center update, specifically on COVID-19, as of this date, February 24th, we currently do not have any COVID-19 in-house at East Castle Place. Our last resident who did have COVID-19 graduated from the COVID-19 unit on Christmas Day. So we are knocking on wood, but we have had a very good stretch thus far. In addition, the positivity rate in Milwaukee County continues to go down, which is exactly what we like to see, as it was north of 13% about 2 months ago, and now as of today is under 5%, around that 4.3% positivity rate in Milwaukee County. So we continue to test weekly. Our staff are getting tested twice a week at the water tower entrance, if you've ever seen or walked past that before. As well as with the positivity rate going down in Milwaukee County, we are testing our healthcare residents 1 time a week on Tuesdays. And we will continue to do that for the foreseeable future, as though the vaccine is becoming more prevalent, COVID positivity is going down, it still is very much apparent and with us, and we just want to make sure we are doing the most with something that we already have a routine for. Another update for the Health Center is with COVID, and that continuing to be a priority, we will see the state survey agency grace us with their presence any day in the next week, coming months, as they have resumed their normal survey activity. Again, a state survey is where they come in for 2 to 5 days and review our policies and procedures, our care, our quality measures, infection control, dietary, the whole works, in order for us to maintain that 5-star, as well as just give us, opportunities or citations if there may be any found, in order to continue to improve, to strive to give the best care possible. Good Wednesday tongue twister there. One thing we are doing in preparation of that is we have outsourced for a mock surveyor to come on site, who is on site today, tomorrow, and Friday, who is looking at all of our care areas, our life safety areas, so maintenance, housekeeping, as well as our hospitality department, to make sure that we are survey ready, as we always are here at East Castle Place at all times. She will also offer us a plan of correction that we will follow through in order to make sure that any opportunities identified will be rectified prior to whenever the state blesses us with their presence. So that's all I have for this month of State of the Castle. And back to Tyler.
All right, thank you, Lindsay, and thank you to the entire team up in the Health Center for continuing to do some really, really great work, partnering with our hospitals and taking care of all of our East Castle residents. The next individual needs little to no introduction. Of course, it is Mike Reber, our Director of Philanthropy, to give us an update regarding all things philanthropy. Mike, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. I don't really have that much for you today, but hopefully some of them are going to be interesting for you. First of all, regarding the treasure chest, you all know that we're open again on Fridays now. Before the pandemic, we were open on Mondays and Fridays, and I've had questions as to when we may reopen on Mondays. That may happen again in the near future, but we're looking potentially in the month of April for that. We're waiting till everybody gets their second shot of the vaccine, and I know some people that are involved in volunteerism here at East Castle Place are, you know, snowbirds. They're off campus for a while. So we're looking, I'm not sure, the beginning of April or the end of April. At any rate, Mondays will be coming back at some time, but probably not for a good 6 weeks yet, or maybe even a little bit longer, and then we'll return to our twice-a-week format. I did want to let you know that in spite of the fact that our hours have been reduced, the treasure chest is going very, very well, and I thank you to all of the volunteers and the donors that have made that possible. We actually have over $10,000 in our scholarship pool right now, and as you all know, we only do one distribution annually now in the month of September. So we've got a good 6 months yet until we'll be issuing new scholarships. So, you know, we might be in the $15,000, $16,000 range by then. So my thanks to all of you for all of your hard work and for your generosity. You know that about 2 years ago we started a car donation program at East Castle Place. It took well over a year before we had our first donation. I'm pleased to say, though, that just today I processed our third donation in the last 5 months. So it is picking up, and I thank all of you. If you have questions about how this process works, please come and see me. You don't have to be an East Castle Place resident. You know, maybe one of your family members is thinking of getting rid of their car, and they'd consider making a donation to East Castle Place of that as well. Really a simple process. I just went through it with the donor today. Took about 15 minutes. You know, they then come and pick up the car wherever it's located. They tow it. It's auctioned off, and the proceeds come back to East Castle Place. You or whoever the donor may turn out to be in the future receives a tax write-off for the contribution. So if you live in East Castle Place, you came here with a car, you've been here 2 or 3 years, there's 2 or 3 years worth of dust on your car, you may want to consider whether or not this might be an option for you. Laura and her staff do a great job of getting your transportation needs met. I understand though, those of you that have a car and you want to keep it, please do. This is for people that have made the decision that they're ready to look at other options. Recently, specifically over the end of the year fundraising cycle, we created a new philanthropy program here called the Community Enrichment Fund. People can donate to it. It's for non-budgeted items. It isn't the type of fund where we would be buying a new van, for example, for Laura and her department. But for example, right now as we're taping the State of the Castle meeting, it's being filmed on a brand new camera that the Community Enrichment Fund purchased with funds that had been donated to it in our end of year fundraising campaign. We also have a donation, I believe, that's going to be coming in shortly to redo some of the window treatments here in Lindsay Hall. It's for smaller items like that. It's also something that is not a budgeted program of East Castle Place. You know, we wouldn't necessarily buy new curtains through the budget. This would be something that's outside of the budget process. We're looking for people to donate to it. We're also looking for people to sit on a committee with me to review requests to determine what's an appropriate use of these funds. So if you have an interest in doing so, please let me know. I'm looking for 3 volunteers who would meet with me whenever anybody submits a funding request. Quite literally, the funding request is 1 page. It is, it's not the most difficult process to review, but we still want to give it a lot of good thought as to what's a good use of these funds, and maybe even how we can create new funds for the program. So if you're interested in that, let me know, come and see me, and I'll be glad to get you involved in it. I also have East Castle Place wines available yet, if anybody's interested. I just sold a couple more bottles yesterday. They're for sale at $20 a bottle. Remember, we got them just before the holidays. It's a broad variety of reds and whites that we received from a winery up in Whitefish Bay. If you're interested, come and see me. I'll be glad to help you out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think it's a nice variety of wines, and I'm sure we've got something you'd be interested in. Last but not least, if any of these items are of interest to you and you want a little bit more information, you always can stop and see me, but my next newsletter will be coming out within the next week or so. So watch for that. That'll be in your mailboxes. There might be additional information that explains any questions you have. If not, give me a call or stop up and see me. Remember, I always got Girl Scout cookies up in my office if you stop and pay a visit. So come on up, we'll talk to you anything you got. Now back to Tyler.
All right. Thank you, Mike. And again, that Girl Scout cookie offer, I guess, is only for residents, as I've been up to his office a number of times without cookies. But, you know, that is a great treat that Mike's providing. So head up there right next to the East Castle Place Marketplace there. So the next individual, Eric Peterson, actually has a question regarding some cars. So great segue from Mike, as well as a couple other questions. So Eric, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. Good afternoon, East Castle. 3 questions I got today. First question is, are we prepared for upcoming residents who may have electric cars? That's not something we've spent a lot of time on, as most of our efforts are spent on maintaining the current infrastructure. But I think we'd probably handle that on a case-by-case basis. If a family was moving in that needed to have access to an electric car charging port. The important thing is that we have the utility available to accommodate it. We just have to identify what the location of that spot would be and how we'd set that up. So that is an option there. I think we just handle it on a case-by-case basis. Next question was asked was, please provide information regarding our process for snow and ice removal, especially those on the parking lots. Our process typically is anything above 2 inches or greater in a snowfall, you're going to see us plowing the lots and salting as we go. If something's less than 2 inches, we try to manage that with salt. Between that, we'll do some pre-salting on big snowfalls to make sure that we break up any underlying ice into the snow that doesn't compact. But really, when it comes to the snow removal process, we start with the lots. And we start with the lots because that's the big space we have to clear. We do that for the sake of emergency vehicle access and deliveries. Right after that, the next highest priority, we do tend to do these in conjunction, is the city sidewalks and the interior sidewalks. We always have a at the very least, a 2 technician operation with snow removal. You'll see someone in the skid loader doing the parking lots, you'll see someone in a smaller skid loader doing the sidewalks, and then the interior walks with the snow blower. We do tend to make sure that we salt all those areas at the end of it. The interior sidewalks do tend to be the last thing that we do tend to, because we want to make sure that you're using the main access points and not the facility, because those tend to be the safest and most, we keep after those the best. The next question is, what can residents do to alleviate problems with the trash rooms, such as use of paper bags to take recyclables to the trash? Don't just dump those loose items, and don't put oversized items in those trash rooms. Call in a work order to have those items removed. I did meet with the Green Committee, I believe is where that question came from. And we talked about ways that the residents can help the maintenance team or those picking up the garbage, how to keep the rooms clean and how to empty things out regularly and make sure that our recyclables do hit the recyclables and our trash hits the trash. Really, I think you touched on it there, is the recyclables, not dumping loose items in the bins because those loose items can spill and they tend to leave a lot of food and residue in the cans. We do wash them regularly, but in between those wash cycles, it's going to smell. So to help keep the odor down and help keep it organized, the bags help a lot. So paper bags for your recyclable goods are the best because we can cling them out of there. The reason for having to pull it out versus dumping is when our trash compactor does go down, we have to revert to pulling the trash out of the cans by hand. That's something we've had to do in the past based on breakdowns, and those are things that will happen occasionally in the future. We try to manage those and cut down the downtime as best we can. Other than that, the other part is about large items. We found large pictures, chairs, different things in the trash rooms. Those trash rooms really aren't big enough for those types of items, so I would really suggest if you need something larger thrown out, just to call the front desk to put a work order in, and we'd happily come to your apartment versus you having to drag it in the trash room and kind of clutter things up there for the use of the rest of the residents. And that's all I have. Thank you, Tyler.
All right. Thank you, Eric, and thank you for what the team's been doing this wonderful winter. Seems like we're getting some help from Mother Nature as of late with some of that melt, but I mentioned it, I think, in my comment, Tyler, the melting does result in some slippery spots overnight, and just make us aware of those, or grab a handful of salt and sprinkle it. But again, testament to Eric and his team for being up early and late at night to help clear those emergency paths and make sure we're as safe as we can be. The next individual is Anna, and Anna's just going to give us an update on, I believe, some of the documentation that she's been having you fill out. So Anna, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler, and hello, East Castle Place residents. As Tyler said, I just wanted to give a brief update on the document collection. You received the memo on your ledge a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to thank you all for your participation in completing those 2 forms. So Teresa Jenkins and I have been working together on this. Just as a reminder, the 2 forms were your emergency contact information sheet that we need updated, that goes in your medicine cabinet, and then the entrance fee refund designation document. So I do apologize for any confusion that document has caused all of you, but I am very much appreciative of the questions and conversations we've been having to help get that information on file for us, because it is very important to have. So if you haven't turned that in already, today the 24th is the due date, but we are still happy to have those conversations with you and walk through that so that you can turn those documents in. The one other thing I wanted to share was some exciting news. So we have a new resident joining us this weekend. Her name is Mrs. Sandy Leverens, and she is moving into the 4th floor of Contemporary. So she'll be joining us either Saturday or Sunday because she's coming from Arizona, so a bit longer trip. So if you could join me in welcoming her to the community, that would be wonderful. And I think we should also thank her for sending a little bit of this warmer weather our way. So that is all I have for you today.
All right. Thank you, Anna, and we're excited to welcome Miss Leverens to our family. You guys are going to have a little sneeze. All right. COVID-19, Lindsay obviously touched on it a little bit from a community standpoint. You did receive notice last week that there were no resident and no employee cases. Unfortunately, there was 1 case from an employee that came in on Friday. Again, this is being taped on Wednesday, February 24th. That employee is asymptomatic and doing well, being held out per our protocol. Again, because of the continued testing that we do every Tuesday and Friday for staff members, as well as residents on that Tuesday, and we are confident and feel good about where we stand from the potential spread of that COVID virus. The other positive, of course, is that we have a number of our staff members, as well as health center residents, assisted living, and CBRF residents that have already received their 2nd dose of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. You, as you're watching this, will have that opportunity on March 3rd. I have a memo that will be distributed here on Thursday. Of course, you'll get the weekly update that you usually receive. And then on the back will be a schedule. I know you can't read this, and that's okay. You'll have this in your hands on Thursday. We learned a few things from the first COVID clinic that we did with you all in trying to get 300 plus individuals vaccinated in a short amount of time, a 6-hour time frame. We determined that starting around 12:30, the first group of residents that will go is that 1st floor of Bradford Terrace. We're asking any other residents that that do not reside on the first floor of Bradford Terrace or the first floor of Water Tower to not come from 12:30 till 1. Again, this is going to be listed out, but I guess I want to urge you that you will have the designated time. That designated time will only work if we work together in sticking to those times. Now, I know from the first clinic that we had residents that wanted to come down, half hour early, ahead of the time. That resulted in larger wait times, some frustrations, and a bottleneck. We're doing everything we can to streamline a lot of this. Our partners at CVS will be on site Wednesday, February 3rd. Teresa and Maureen, for the last 3 days, have been collecting your consents ahead of time. That will help expedite it. And then the day of the clinic, you should come in your t-shirt or short sleeve shirt that's easily accessible to your arm. Again, if you wear a suit like Mike was or a shirt and tie like I am, obviously you know that getting a needle through this is a little bit more time consuming. So if you bring your short sleeve shirt, you'll be able to roll up your sleeve, get the vaccine, head on out to the dining room. Again, the vaccine clinic will take place in Lindsay Hall. You'll head over to the dining room for monitoring, where we'll have a nurse on monitoring everybody. You'll sit there for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then once that's done, you'll head back to your apartment. Now, your resident wellness committee did put together a flyer that will be given to you at the time of the clinic to kind of help you understand what side effects may come from receiving that second dose. Now, what we've seen from current staff members that did receive that second dose, the side effects are a little bit more. And so the wellness committee has put together some guidance that they've formulated from CDC and other medical experts to help assist you. Again, the vaccine does affect everybody differently. I can attest to that. My side effects were minimal compared to other staff members that did receive the second dose of the COVID vaccine. The good thing is those are short-lived. The risks are anywhere between 8 to 48 hours at maximum, and then you're usually back to yourself. So again, that's what you can anticipate. So March 3rd, you'll get a memo tomorrow, and on the back side of it, you'll see a schedule along with some reminders for that clinic date. If that time does not work for you or something of that nature, again, let us know. We will work with you. I spoke with CVS this morning. They are bringing more than enough doses that's required for that second dose. So even if you are in that later time slot, after 3, close to 4, you will receive your vaccine. So please know that. Again, we need your assistance in that. Of course, any questions leading up to that March 3rd, contact myself, contact Maureen, contact Teresa. We will help you out. Then there was a question that was from one of your fellow neighbors that says, after the resident passes, is there a time limit to when the apartment must be vacated? And can their heirs rent for another month if needed? So 2 questions here, and I'll take the first one. Is there a time limit as to when the resident needs to vacate? There is not. The only caveat to that is the resident or family members will continue to pay for the unit until it's completely vacated and the keys are turned in. So if a resident passes or goes to another part of the community, we'll keep it simple. If the resident passes, then the family can maintain that apartment for as long as they'd like. The only caveat again, they pay for the monthly fee for the duration that the apartment is in their care. Can their heirs rent the apartment for a month if needed? Unfortunately, because the contract is between the resident and the East Castle Place, the heir or family member cannot rent that unit. Now, if your family member is over the age of 65 and is interested in East Castle Place, and they do financially qualify, by all means, let us know. We will happily move them into the apartment with another entrance fee. But they cannot rent it on a month-to-month basis. Again, that's based on the contract and obligations we have to you, to your neighbors, and to your loved ones. So, again, if there is circumstances that a loved one needs to stay or needs a place to stay for a short period of time, something of that nature, we again will work with you case by case basis. But again, on the overall, family members are not to stay in the apartments, especially during this COVID time, but even outside of COVID-19 times. So whoever submitted that, hopefully that answers the question. And lastly, we are getting new Lindsay Hall chairs. Laura is on her day of PTO today, but she would mention that we are starting to resume some normal small group activities. Again, masking, social distancing, everything is being adhered to. But with the residents receiving the second dose of the vaccine and with where we're heading, we need to start looking at what that small group setting looks like. And Lindsay Hall is the appropriate setting. It's our largest space. It's where we can do the most social distancing. The chairs are in need of repair and replacement. And so we put together an order to replace all the Lindsay Hall chairs. Hopefully a semi-truck will be coming in the next week or two to unload those. And then hopefully in March, as we start to resume some what I'll call normal, although normal is going to look a little different, we'll have some new chairs to sit on in Lindsay Hall. We got new tables last year, and so a fresh look to Lindsay Hall. Again, this was budgeted. This was something outside of what Mike Rieger had mentioned earlier. But again, nonetheless, always nice to get something new here at the East Castle Place. And with that, that wraps up this month's edition of State of the Castle. Of course, if there's any questions or anything that you have questions on, let us know. We're here for you. Can't wait to be able to do some of this back in person at some point in the near future, although space will be limited. That might be a nice treat and a nice event to look forward to. So again, the month of March, we're excited for March 3rd and then what's to come after that. With that, enjoy the beautiful weather. Hopefully spring is truly finally turning the corner, and look forward to seeing you all around the community and doing this again next month. Until then, take care, stay well, and we'll see you next month.